We rehearsed a fist bump, but we didn't do it because
we just waved.
Attention, but
super awkward.
We're so weird.
That's why they don't put us on TV very long. We're not fit for Korean television. So yeah, going through this season, we're going to have, like I said, 17 million won on the line, and every single day, every single match, the winning player will get, I think, 400,000 won, which is about $300.
Yeah,
and
something
then,
like that.
And the losing player will get 100,000 won, which is like $80. So basically, if you win, you get 300,000 more won than if you lose. So a lot of money on the line every single match.
And this includes, of course, even if a player has already been eliminated, they won't be able to go to playoffs. They'll still have remaining matches, just like Pro League, if you guys are familiar with the StarCraft 1 that then became a StarCraft 2 league. Obviously, some of these teams have to play matches even though they were quote-unquote meaningless for them. This is an incentive for the players to play in those matches, take them seriously, but also to get them some extra money as this Brood War, rebirth is happening because we don't have teams right now, no big sponsors. The main income for Brood War players right now, of course, is streaming, and then tournaments are, for many, secondary. So, there's obviously a lot of cost in playing in a tournament like this. You have to do a lot of preparation. You can't stream as much. People can study your games. So, this round robin. And it's going to be a long 7 weeks. Every single map matters, especially in terms of that direct prize money that you get. But even if you lose those matches, it doesn't mean you're out yet. You've got a long system to go through here. It's again, I keep referencing this, but it's very much like Pro League. And I feel like most people watching this will remember Pro League from StarCraft 2 and could kind of draw the comparison. Also very much like, more recently, SSL Premier. So the round-robin format here gives every player a chance to play against every other player once. So by the end of things, when we go into playoffs, you're going to know for damn sure that those are the best players of these 8.
Right, and with the racial distributions for each one of the players, we might have a graphic for this coming up here in a second. The racial distributions of the players very well balanced. We have three Terran, 3 Protoss, and 2 Zerg players. So, actually, it's 2 Protoss, 3 Terran, 3 Zerg. Yeah. So very balanced. So every player will have to play against a wide variety of matchups. I guess if you're a Zerg, you only have to play one other ZVZ. We're actually going to get that out of the way starting out here today, as I think Effort takes on Hero. Yeah. So that's going to be your only time watching a ZVZ. ZVZs in Brood War. Very iconic, because if you mess up like one tiny little thing, you just die.
It's the knife fight matchup.
It really is. It's like, okay, well, you missed with your knife, but I hit you with my knife, so you kind of just die. I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit more like Railguns and Quake, but you get the idea.
Here's our maps.
Yeah, one of the coolest parts of this tournament is that, well, there's no fighting spirit. If you guys play Brood War, you've probably played on that map, but it's not here. Instead, we're going to have our balanced map be Circuit Breakers, one of the most balanced maps ever made. We're mixing it up by putting in Match1, Neo Medusa, and Neo Jade as maps that haven't been played in a Star League in Korea in a very, very long time. So really excited to introduce those maps to you. If you're new to those maps, then don't worry, we'll walk you through them. If you're not, then you definitely know what you're getting yourself into.
Absolutely. It's really important to note that these are the maps that you'll probably never see in casual play as well. These are, generally speaking, very much pro-game maps. Match1, you see some people play sometimes. I remember playing Blue Storm when I was really young, but in general, these are not... These are not the popular maps. These are not the maps when you go to the 1.18 PTR popular map section that you're really going to see. You might find some of them in there. But yeah, these are not your Lost Temples. They're not your Fighting Spirits or Pythons. So these are the maps that we see in pro play that have been used in Star Leagues in the past. Now, brought back to life here in the SSL.
Right. Now, we're not going to get a chance to see Medusa or Blue Storm today. The way that the map pool works is that the players each get to ban one map, and then out of the 3 remaining maps, one map is randomly chosen for them to play on. So they both get a choice in which maps they don't want to play, and then they have to prepare for whichever map they are going to be playing. And here are the players that we were talking about earlier: 2 Protoss, 3 Terrans, and 3 Zergs. Yeah,
and a lot of the big name players that were voted in, because it was actually basically a vote-in tournament. It was an invite tournament. There were no qualifiers. A lot of them did decline. So a lot of players like Light, for example, had the opportunity to get in. Rain, Free, Mine, Light, Suck, Effort, Hero, and Soulkey will be our 8 participants for the duration of this tournament. And a lot of big names in here nonetheless, especially the likes of, say, Effort, for example, who's really been popular over the last few years, won the Korean Air Star League in 2010, really started to build his career off that. He's the former CJ, Zerg, and Rain, of course, who left SKT at the end of Pro League, but has now come back to Brood War. He played Brood War Pro League, then played StarCraft 2 Pro League, and then came back now, of course, into StarCraft 1. Free, one of the Dragons. I mean, every player on this list has a reputation. These are big names nonetheless. There's no Flash, there's no Jaedong on this list, but these guys are solid. And here's our map list for the matchups today. It's our first round-robin set. Soulkey versus Mind will take place on match point. Then we're going to go into Neo Jade with the ZVZ. Sak will face Free on Circuit Breakers. And our final match of the night will be Light and Rain on Neo Jade. Now, don't forget, these are all best of ones. In StarCraft 1, best of threes could take ages, and every single round-robin match will just be one game. That's why the 400 to 100,000 won is so important. It's all about that one win, that one map. These games could take an hour, they could take 5 minutes. It really just depends.
Yeah, and that's why each individual game is so important. If you prepare that one rush strategy for your game and it works, then you just win right there. And so there's not a whole lot of opportunities to come back. You only get to play each player one time. So if you lose against their strategy, well, you don't really have a chance for revenge, maybe in playoffs, but let's go ahead and get into our actual games. I'm actually just so excited to start off SSL Classic with a matchup that I think is going to be really good for players who maybe aren't new to Brood War, because if you've watched StarCraft 2, you've definitely seen plenty of Soulkey.
That's right. Soulkey is way more accomplished in StarCraft 2 than he ever was in Brood War. You know, when you look at his list of achievements, you look at his Wikipedia or his TLPD, you find out very quickly that despite being very popular for being very handsome and having some good wins in the Kespa Dream League, and also playing overseas in StarCraft 2 when the Kespa switch was happening, in Brood War, he doesn't have any top Star League performances. He's never really done well in individual leagues. He did a few, good showing in Pro League, for example, in that Kespa Dream League I mentioned. But he's known for his late game ZBT, and we'll see if Mind, his opponent here, turtles up, because that's what he's going to be looking for, that late game, really strong anti-mech play. We've been seeing Terran players transition to that late game mech. It's more and more popular in recent times, especially in the post-Kespa era.
Yeah, now this is Mind, also known as the Scholar Terran. This guy is just so smart. If you've ever played Terran back in the day as a semi-pro or pro, you studied this guy's games. He's so smart, he's so handsome, and he's going to be going up against a guy who's almost exactly on his level playing Zerg in Soulkey. So I'm just so excited to get this game underway. What a way to start off the SSL Classic. So, I mean, much like Zealots, I long for combat, so I cannot wait to get this underway, Wolf.
Neither can I. It's been a long time coming with the rebirth of Brood War. StarCraft Remastered has been announced. One thing we didn't mention, this of course will be played on the live patch 1.16. This is not on the PTR or anything like that, so we're going straight into classic original Brood War. Let's go into our very first map here, match point, Soulkey versus Mind.
And away we go. Liking our plugs for our Jin Air sponsoring, of course, big thanks to them for making SSL possible this season. And in the upper right, our purple Zerg player is Soulkey.
That he is. His opponent will be spawned across the map here on match point in blue. And of course, it is the former KT Terran, Mind.
All right, and here we go with an SCV headed way up. And in case you're not familiar with the way match point works, there's basically a giant letter N written in the middle of the map, and that's all high ground. Everything else is low ground, and that means that, especially with the way that the ramps work, you've got a very short rush distance, but a very long pushing distance, because you generally want to push on the high ground when you're trying to make that happen. So SCV now coming up here, avoiding the Overlord. Yep. Looks like we're setting up for a rush.
It looks like it's going to be just a single barracks proxy for the time being. You can build this before Supply Depot in Brood War, so there's a common strategy where you build 2 of them. It's called BBS, Barracks, Barracks, then Supply Depot. Was possible in the early Wings of Liberty beta, but was removed because it was considered to be too strong by newer players. There's going to be the one Barracks being built, though. No second SCV coming out. He avoids the Scout, as you mentioned. We'll see how greedy Soulkey wants to be about this. As you mentioned, this map has a lot of narrow choke points, so when he's kiting back with those Marines and SCVs that he potentially may pull here, there's a lot of ways he can avoid drone surrounds.
Well, it's going to be a 12 hatch there for Soulkey. Most economical build you can go for, really, and with no spawning pool even thrown down just yet, this first Marine will be very, very powerful, which is, you know, usually not a sentence you say about Brood War Marines, because in general they are pretty weak.
Yeah. However, lose 1v1 to a drone if you don't micro it.
Yeah, so you definitely do need to micro it, but the big thing will be the SCV. SCVs have more hit points than other workers, so they really serve as kind of linebackers there to protect the Marine quarterback there.
Look at this Overlord. He's actually going to scout for this because the hatchery doesn't really provide any vision at all. As soon as the Overlord sees the SCV, he immediately pulls a drone to chase that to make sure that it can't bunker as easily as he'd like to. I believe he's going to pull these Marines here. Yeah, not even starting a bunker. This is going to just be some pressure. This is not an all-in by mind. He's just looking for some damage. Might even go for this Overlord first here. In fact, will chase that away and target it down, and this may be all he gets. Okay, no, he's going to decide. Okay, he's a bit indecisive.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be able to kill the Overlord, even if he has one on high ground and low ground. So still going to look for
the high ground there.
Yeah, going to look for a bunker positioning here, and we'll start it up. Now, keep in mind, this is definitely not designed to totally kill the Zerg player, but it will force a lot of lost mining time, and now with a 3rd Marine coming out, and no 4th Marine. You can see he's already floating his barracks up here. He's trying to get a few early drone kills. Nice drone drill all the way through the Marines. All 3 staying alive. Very good control there. Finally, a few do start to go down, and that will be the end of the rush.
He's just going to cancel this bunker, get the minerals back, and transition. He made that refinery earlier, so he has the factory up in just a moment. He's going to need the Vulture out here to help defend here, as a lot of Lings were made. The important thing here is that Soulkey identified this very quickly. He will need to get some counter pressure done here with these Lings, because obviously he lost several drones there, and he made so many Lings, so he wasn't using those larvae on drones.
Yeah, but there's just not that much back at home. The only barracks that was built was lifted, so there's no Marine production, and that means that this Vulture coming out will be the only form of defense. However, with good enough patrol micro on that the Vulture, you will be able to kill Infinity Zerglings. Yes. So as long as this control is good, this should not be too much to worry about.
He needs to pull these SCVs. Remember, they have 60 hit points in Brood War, so they're a little bit tankier than they are in StarCraft 2. And he will actually lose only the one, which is actually probably kind of a mistake there. But
I'm actually really surprised he lost one. That takes a lot of really good control. I mean, all SCVs do in fact look exactly the same, so it's kind of hard to click on the right one. Also, health bars are not on by default, so you have to really keep track.
You have to click on them individually. You can't just hold Alt to see them. Still unknown whether that will be the case in Remaster, but a Wraith is on the way.
Oh my god.
And he's going to send the Vulture across. There's actually a set of Lings on the high ground waiting here, but because the Vulture is sent, SCVs are vulnerable here. The Vulture actually surrounded, and he's going to lose it.
He lost the Vulture. Oh my god, that's a terrible place to put it in. And finally, it looks like the SCVs will be able to push back.
Lings have speed now. This is a big problem. He's just streaming Lings and more Lings across the map. Even the Wraith that's about to pop out here isn't going to be too useful. He's made very few drones. He's joining up now, of course, after this wave of Lings, but this may just be game over here. He's going to have to micro this perfectly, this Vulture, and so many SCVs are going to go down here, Rapid.
Soulkey smelling blood in the water. Targets the machine shot for a second, but he's going to have to watch out for the second Vulture that is out now. Now, Ray's not the best to deal with Zerglings. They have very low ground damage, but Vultures are the way to go. Decent control there, but still losing these SCVs, and wow, almost losing another Vulture.
Look at all the lost mining time here as well with these SCVs pulled off the line. He's on one base here, and several more SCVs being targeted down. He survives, of course, here with the Vultures that now have Spider Mines, and Hydras are out just in time for this raid. Soulkey very well prepared for this transition, very well practiced against this. He's seen this 1,000 times, and this wasn't his original plan, most likely, to do this big Ling attack. He just did it reactionarily based on the fact that he was able to identify those proxy barracks across the map. And things are going to even out here a little bit. The problem for mine, though, is still on one base. Several lost SCVs. Soulkey's free to drone now, and he's going to go ahead and start that lair. Nothing he can do to save this Overlord, though, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so the Overlord will go down, and that's about as much damage as that Wraith is going to get. Great timing, like you mentioned, Wolf on the Hydras just in time to defend against that Wraith, and not overproducing either. And so Soulkey definitely a little bit behind where he'd like to be at this point. He had to spend a lot of Larva on Zerglings early, but he did convert on damage there. So I actually think he's in an okay spot in mind. A little bit sloppy on his SCV control. He did lose quite a few, but he did stabilize, and so both players do get to continue to play this game out.
Yeah, losing that Vulture that got surrounded there was a nice grab for Soulkey. Had he had that Vulture, things would have been a lot easier. He went straight into the Spider Mine upgrade, so it's going to give him a little bit more map vision here. You can see things like these Lings coming across the map, spotting them, also wiping them off the map. But Blair finishing up here, we'll be able to get that Lurker aspect fairly soon. And he's going to have his Hydraless position here to defend the Vulture poke up. 4 on the high ground here. It's going to be very difficult to break this location. Probably just going to simply back off, mine up a little bit. Alternatively, as he did have that starport for quite some time now, grab a drop ship and look for another way in. This is risky. If it is scouted, the Hydras can get back into position really easily. He's going to scout, by the way, with that Wraith for potential hidden base. As Zerglings wants to take another main. Okay, safety elevators, all of them. Ooh, this is scouted by a Zergling. You should be able to identify with only one Vulture there. There's more coming. Here they are in the main base now.
This is so bad. Even though there are Hydras there to defend, Vultures kill drones so quickly. And with all these mines, that means that the Hydras will most likely not be able to get way back there in the corner.
He's going to elevate the second wave in as well.
I mean, Vultures versus Hydras is not really that great a matchup for the Hydras anyway, and there are enough to be able to push them back.
He just doesn't have enough Hydras here.
And with another drop elevated into the natural, this is just going to do so much damage. He actually is targeting down the Hydra just because there isn't enough there to support. Yeah, another lone Hydra is not going to defend these drones.
It looks like he droned up just a bit too much. As you can see, he has a ton of drones, even though he lost some. Look at that big chunk. But spent all of his larvae on those. Now the Hydras are out too late, and he wasn't able to identify the drop in time. This is actually really doing a number. He finds a way back here to the back as the mine fans of the crowd start cheering. There look several more drones here. Soulkey does have a third base coming up. It looks like he will technically survive here, but the damage is immense. Targets down that Spider Mine, well done. And as the dust clears, Mine got a ton of value. This Vulture's not very expensive. Once you have that Spider Mine upgrade, you know, you can make each one worth so much more than 75 minerals. And we're actually going to see the follow-up research of Cloak as well, as he killed several Overlords around the map. A bit surprised to see that coming in here, but it can be very effective.
Yeah, so usually the way that this map works for Zerg is that you want to tech up to Mutas, because harassing over these naturals is very effective. There's a big unpassable chunk of terrain where you can just position and get a lot of good harassment done. But this is actually mined at using that same aspect to protect his dropship, to give himself these nice venues to get in there. And again, more drones being killed in the main.
This is now with the Ion Thruster's speed upgrade for these Vultures, so they're able to just outmaneuver these Hydras, place Spider Mines, and run around. And I mean, realistically, did Soulkey even make a mistake here? No, he had his Hydras in position for the drop location, but he wasn't able to kill the dropship before the Vultures got out, and they just ran past. He's already killed so many Overlords with these Wraiths. The Wraiths helped move the vision away, so he couldn't necessarily know which angle the Vulture drop was going to come in. And because he killed his Overlords and removed all the vision, this Wraith transition is going to be a big surprise. He comes in here for the scout, but it's too late, as these Wraiths should already have Cloak. In fact, they do. Already cloaking now.
The one drone takes like 8 Wraith shots to kill. But yeah, it is Cloak. There's no Overlords here, and so even those Hydras will not be able to save the drones at the third.
This is looking to be a great transition here for Mine, who already has his natural up and mining now. It's fully saturated. He's got siege tanks out.
Doesn't have the gas though on his natural, so even though there's one siege tank out, he won't be able to support too much mech production. However, with just this very mineral heavy army, pretty much just Vultures at this point, he really doesn't need to get that too quickly. And on the other side, you see Soulkey taking the mineral only third instead of going for the third up at the 12 o'clock, which does have a gas. All he really needs to do is really just drone up at this point, so I think having the additional mineral income probably going to work out pretty well. Getting pretty lucky with those Overlords that do have speed, but turns out they're still not fast enough to outrun Rays.
Nope. Gonna get chunked down there, blown up. The Hydras with the Overlord here trying to help clear those Wraiths off and protect these mineral lines. He's got a good amount of saturation, and the one thing Soulkey really has going for him, I feel, is he has the potential to grab this Lurker tech. He's going to the Spire instead, but he'll likely have both at the end of this. He also has, you know, with the amount of commitment to tech that Mind put out, that very easy to take third base because there's no bio pressure, stim marines, medevacs, or medics, I should say, excuse me. I don't want to make the Brood War fans angry. He doesn't have the marine medic bio force moving across the map to pressure or anything like that. So Soulkey has space to work with here. He just doesn't have vision, which is pretty terrifying. You may be looking at us wondering, why is he throwing overlords away? There's wraiths on the map. He just wants more information. Is this going to be some sort of full mech weird style coming out? Is he transitioning into the bio? How much bio does he have? He's trying to get all this information, but the wraiths just prevent it.
So Soulkey should know that you're not going to be seeing super crazy mech because one of the great things about match point for Terrans is that the low ground third base at the 6 o'clock here for Mind is very easily defensible by turrets and siege tanks. So this is actually a really great map for Terran because you can secure, I think, 4 gas bases if you do continue pushing up the left-hand side of the map. So if you do want to go a heavy mech style, you can definitely support that. However, that's not what we see here. It's only 2 bases, and it was a little bit of a late gas. So going to be extra barracks being produced, but here come those units I was talking about early who are able to harass over these unbuildable terrains.
Look at this really good turret placement. You cannot harass this turret without taking basically all the positions the units can hit turrets from, put them under fire of at least 2. So with the stim marines to help support that as well, he can't really find a way in here. He's actually going to chase down this SCV, it looks like, just by chance. Nice mini-map awareness here, as it looked like perhaps Mind was going to look to take that base, or at least try a spot for the Muse anyways. Big stem coming in here, he's going to have to retreat. Scans for the Overlord kill, just barely misses it. Not too concerned about his scan energy right now with no lurkers as a threat. This depot is used to spot the mutas, but it's also kind of a double-edged sword in that way. So he will try to take it out.
Lost a muta for free there. Not sure that was in the cards, but great harassment over. Okay, right as I say great harassment, he misses his muta.
No, look at the minimap. Wraiths are going to counterattack during this time, unless those are drops. I'm pretty sure the Wraiths at the top of the map going to counterattack while this is happening because he knows the Muse are away.
There should be Hydras there to defend that Wraith harassment. Yeah, indeed there are, and an Overlord. So great defense, really good multi-pronged attention. I guess you call that multitasking by Soulkey.
Well, we just attention to detail, realistically remembering those Wraiths are still out there and the counterattack potential is absolutely there. Though the mutas continue to give map control because Mind committed so much of his resources to that factory tech, to the Wraith and Cloak. The bio army is getting larger, but during all this time he's been able to take even a 4th base here. The mutas are continuing to keep the pressure on, so the Marines have to stay home. And it's really easy for him, if he can ever clean up those Wraiths, to have full vision of when the bio will move out because of the N-shaped movement they kind of have to go across, as you were talking about. Oh, he needs a split against his irradiate.
Oh my god,
that was almost disastrous.
Holy cow, that was actually excellent splits there on the Mutalist. Immediately getting the irradiated one and just throwing it away, really kind of useless in that regard. But here come out the Scourge, and these are what are going to be used to snipe off the Science Vessels, which are actually kind of unprotected way out in front, to see if they can split it, and indeed they do get one of the Science Vessels. So one survives.
Too. Okay, Lurker's morphing here. He's finally got those Lurkers ready to go. He needs them just in time. He's waited as long as he could. But look, this bio army is really strong now.
Yeah, Lurkers take a very long time to morph in StarCraft 2, so he's going to use these Mutalisks to almost even throwing them away just to buy time, so those Lurker eggs can finish morphing and get into position.
Yeah, he was looking to try to catch a siege tank, perhaps, maybe a vessel, or freak him out, force him to stim and run backwards. The Lurkers should be ready now. Oh, those are links. Okay, yeah, the Lurker's just finished. Whew. And he's going to split here, but the vessel is in really good position. And look at these tanks. He doesn't have a lot of Zerglings, so this open area here isn't that big of a weakness for the army here of Mind because he just doesn't have much Lings at all. And Hydra stepping way too far forward. To attack into this Terran army would be suicidal, I feel.
This is a great position for Mind to be in.
Ooh,
and,
no control on those, yeah.
Rough rally points here. Continuing to push Soulkey back further and further.
Soulkey just struggling in this matchup in the post-Caspera. Since his switch back, he's 4-10. You know, in recent CVTs, he is having a bigger struggle. You know, he runs by here, losing several units in the process. We'll see if Mind just decides to move forward here. It looks like he's going to do a little bit of both here, cleaning up all these Lings for free. Soulkey is bleeding units off, showing some mechanical weakness here in this first game.
I think he might try to come in here for the sandwich here pretty soon. He's getting into a nice flanking position, trying to cut off these reinforcements, not even burrowing a lot of those Lurkers, and this push forward might just be all Mind needs to kill him.
We'll see. I mean, Soulkey, if he can just live on a little bit longer, he's going to have Hive soon. It's going to give him that Dark Swarm he needs. But here comes the medics at the front line, actually just going to tank it, heal themselves. The backline army of Soulkey not coming in for the sandwich just yet. And Mind is going to take this opportunity to split off and kill his fourth base. No lurkers on the high ground. It wasn't ready yet. Looks like it just finished morphing. And he's not even paying attention. Loses it before the burrow. You always want to have a lurker on the high ground of your satellite bases. We see Lings coming from Mind. He's going to go for the sandwich now, but too few Lings. They're already dead. And Mind cleans it up. GG.
Not going to be enough to stop the first big push. Mind and the Scholar Terran smart enough to take out Soulkey in the first match, the SSL Classic.
Soulkey crushed the attack. He lost a few drones. He had a smart counterattack. He even killed more SCVs than should have happened. But Mind really caught him off guard with the Vulture drop. He got those Vultures in, killed so many drones that allowed the transition. The Wraiths didn't do all too much, right? But they did give a ton of vision control, kept Soulkey on the back foot there. He committed to the Mutas. He put a lot of resources into that. Didn't get a lot of kills. He had map control. But you can keep a cornered beast cornered only for so long. But eventually, this large bioforce he's built up on two bases trumps the amount of tech that Soulkey's kind of pushed into the Mutas, doesn't get much damage done. He's also trying to tech Mutas, get the Hydra count up, get the Lurkers out, and take a fourth base. Well, there's this two-base bio coming across with a ton of medics. He doesn't have enough to deal with it. I don't even know what the upgrades on the Marines were, to be honest. They probably at least had +1 attack.
Yeah, it was a +1 stim timing, so able to push out there. Really, really just careful.